Hello, my name is Philip Armstrong and welcome to Fridays with Phil. As someone once wrote, fraternities and sororities symbolize all that we wish to accomplish in our lives. They represent the struggles we all face as we grow. Why we cling to them, no one can explain, but in the end, we are all stronger for them. It was in 1776 when the first Greek organization planted its roots in America's history. Known as a secret society, Phi Beta Kappa believed that love of wisdom, guide to life, was what they stood for. But little did they know that the traditions they created would become a lasting tradition for all fraternities and sororities. However, it wasn't until the 1800s that we were graced with presence of sororities, the first one being Pi Beta Phi, who was founded in 1867. Their forward progression proved that women were pushing to find a bigger and more equal place in society. It is in part due to them that women began to fight for their equality. And just as women were fighting for equality, so were African Americans. The first African American fraternity appeared in 1906. Years later, this organization, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, would become the same fraternity that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. joined himself in a time when segregation still spoke volumes. 2 years later, in 1908, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated would form, the unconstitutional sister organization to the first black male fraternity. But what's so amazing about Greek life on Millikin University's campus is that it has embraced many of these organizations over the last 100 years. Back before Millikin University granted their first Greek organization permission to come on campus, to join an organization of its caliber was an honorary thing. To date, that honor has not changed. Tau Kappa Epsilon was the first national fraternity founded on Millikin's campus in 1909, with Sigma Alpha Epsilon joining nearly 2 years later, along with Delta Sigma Phi. Soon in 1912, Millikin was able to grant Delta Delta Delta, Pi Beta Phi, and Zeta Tau Alpha permission to stand on its campus along with Alpha Chi Omega in 1913. Although Zeta Tau Alpha no longer exists here, they helped to create a Pan-Hellenic association that continues to govern their sororities to date. With the presence of the other organizations that have come and gone, Alpha Tau Omega was the last interfraternal organization to appear in 1975. And although Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, both African American organizations, appeared shortly before Alpha Tau Omega in 1973. Millikin's next sorority, Sigma Lambda Gamma National Sorority Incorporated, didn't appear on campus until more than 30 years later, along with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. In 2011, and most recently, Sigma Lambda Beta International Fraternity Incorporated a few weeks ago. So join us as we tap into the lives of Millikin Greek students and what their experience has been thus far at Millikin University.
I'd say what attracted me to Greek life was just kind of the brotherhood aspect and just having a group of guys to hang out with. I've always had a pretty big group of friends.
What attracted me to Greek life? I would definitely say seeing all the various girls that are in Greek community, organizations, definitely made me want to be more like them. They were the role models, they were the leaders in all the different campus organization and activities, and I just honestly wanted to become one of those women one day.
Much like other Greek life members, I had no intentions of going Greek when I came to college here. I started hanging out with a lot of friends here, and around the time of recruitment I noticed that a lot of my friends were Delta Sigs, and they started inviting me out to some recruitment events, and I ended up going through Delta Sig.
Well, what originally attracted me to Greek life was actually the cheap housing, and then I went through Rush Week and pre-Rush Week and all those events, and I started to see that the guys here actually had some sort of real bond, and they actually stayed together and hung out together because they enjoyed each other's company, and I realized that I kind of wanted a support group, and that's kind of why I started getting involved with it.
I think the main thing that attracted me to Greek life was definitely the golfers at first. That was my first initial bond here at Millikin was with the golfers. And they definitely, they are the ones that first introduced me to the house. They are the ones that, really made me feel welcome here at Millikin. And, I think that after coming over here a while and then going through during the rush week, I noticed that these weren't just, the guys I hung out with, these were my best friends. And, now they're all my brothers. And, so, it was definitely a great experience, and, I'm happy to be a part of the golf team because they basically led me to become, part of this great organization.
Being a Greek president, your responsibilities include being not just yourself, but being the role model and delegate for an entire chapter. You are the face of your organization, and people look to you for what your chapter stands for, what your chapter's values are, what your chapter means, and it's definitely a large responsibility, especially on such a small campus such as Millikin. But I would say that the responsibilities just make me a better leader as a whole and make me value being a Greek woman even more.
Responsibilities of being a Greek president, I would say just overall it's just being the face of our chapter. Whether it's good or bad, whatever happens is basically, my face is attached to it, and I have to answer to that either way. And if it's bad, I take responsibility for it. If it's good, I make sure I put credit where credit's due, and I would say the good outweighs the bad more often than not. So,
Well, my responsibilities as NSAE president are really to be a communicator. I have to act as the liaison between the university, our national organization, and our alumni. And I have to make sure that we're communicating with all those groups well, and everything that they need from us is happening and everything we need from them is happening. Pretty much, I just make sure the ship runs smoothly.
As part of being the president of this organization, I'm the face of the house in a way. Anything that I'll do will reflect images on the house. Unfortunately, if I mess up, that may send a negative image. But I'm also the guy that I'll organize most things. I'll be the one that'll kind of put our name out there in terms of philanthropy events and things along that area.
There are a lot of responsibilities that come along with it. There's about 25 specific ones that the past president handed down to me. So I pretty much keep a list in my room and make sure I'm doing everything. A lot of them are meeting with the Greek advisors, meeting with the chapter advisor. We have an alumni board here that we meet with regularly. And then obviously maintaining order in chapter meeting and pretty much just keeping the whole interior functions of the fraternity flowing well. So.
I do believe for the most part that chapters do strive to support each other in the best way possible. However, I think especially whenever you want the best men and you want the best women on Millikin's campus, sometimes competitiveness does go higher on your value list than supportiveness for other chapters. So I think it's just one of those things that Millikin as a whole can improve on and try to better themselves on as a Greek community.
Yes, I definitely do feel that all chapters support one another. In terms of our philanthropy events that we hold or any special events that occur on campus, we're always out there supporting one another. I think a good example of this was when Delta Sig, they were holding a fundraiser last year because one of their chapters, unfortunately they had a fire and their house burned to the ground. I know that, Talk Up Epsilon, we definitely supported them, and I'd be willing to bet that every other Greek organization on campus was out there, either donating money for them in some way or helping out as best they could.
I think there's a bit of sense of Greek community here at Millikin University. Obviously, every chapter is unique and different, and they're all trying to achieve the most members and be the greatest chapter on campus. So there's a bit of competition there, but I think it's a good, healthy competition kind of thing. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of athletes. That is the majority of our house. Well, ex-athletes. We joke about being the house where athletes go to die, in a way. So, I don't know. We do have a lot of athletes. We are involved in intramurals a lot, and that is that is where we find our common place for the most part. But last formal recruitment, we added a commercial music major, and I hadn't seen one since my freshman year in this house, so it was nice to see. And with this last pledge class, we added another commercial music major and 2 nursing majors, which made me especially happy because I'm a nursing major myself, and it's just one more thing that we all have in common, and kind of expand our domain as a chapter.
Okay. Well, I've never been really one to think in terms of stereotypes. This has never been the way I view, but the only stereotype I can really think of for us in the past has been kind of like the golf house. Those are the main people that we attract, and I think that by incorporating more guys that have different abilities, guys with musical talents or football players, people that bring different aspects to the table, that's one way to definitely change any sort of stereotype about us.
We are true gentlemen, and we stand by being true gentlemen all the time. We don't judge a man by how many beers he can finish in one night. We judge a man by his ability to make and keep friends. And that's what makes an SAE, and that is how we break our stereotype.
I would like to think that I personally, as a Tri Delta's president, have broken some of the stereotypes, because I think here at Tri Delta, people tend to look at us as the pretty girls that always have their hair done. I have really gorgeous hair right now, I know. That are always in stilettos. I'm wearing flats right now. And that they are just sometimes almost too good for other people. But however, I personally believe that I value friendship in all chapters as well as the entire campus community, and I would like to think that I appear welcoming and try to defy the stereotype that Tri Delta has been given as the girly girls that have no time to talk to anyone else, because I have friends in all chapters and across the campus as a whole. So,
well, holding my position as president, I definitely want us to have more of a philanthropic mindset. I want to be able to give back a lot more than I know we have been in the past. And I know we do our blood drives every semester, but I mean, there are definitely other ways that we can help out by maybe either donating clothes or donating time to soup kitchens or anything like that that's going to help us become or that's going to help give back to the community.
The biggest thing for me, and one of the accomplishments I'd like to achieve, is to leave the fraternity in a better place than I found it, and that's something that presidents of Delta Sigma Phi have passed down to each other for as long as I can remember, and they've always said, whatever state you find the chapter in, make sure you leave it in a better state than that. So that's one of the biggest goals for me.
See, I hope to achieve just to become a better person as a whole, to become unbiased, open-minded to all points of views and beliefs in society, because once you're in the real world, you're going to come across people that aren't like you and that you don't necessarily agree with all the time. So to create the characteristics and qualities of a true leader in a Greek organization such as Tri Delta or just as a whole is very valuable to learn throughout your presidency.
Brotherhood it's just having somebody to hang out with at its core, and further than that is having someone to lean on. I know I went through quite a bit of stuff, family issues through my pledgeship. I had a loss in the family, and they were there immediately as a shoulder to lean on, and that established the fact further that it was a great decision for me to go Greek and to go with ATO.
Many would claim that our history of Greek life is small compared to bigger institutions, but I would refute that statement by looking at the service, fraternity, and sorority life has given to Millikin's campus. So many leaders have graduated from Millikin as a member of a Greek organization and gone on to do spectacular achievements. The 27% of our campus that involves themselves in the daily lives of their fellow brothers and sisters know the spirit and the heart of what many hands can do to change not only their community, but their own individuals' lives. It goes without saying that Greek life has even helped me to soar in my endeavors, and so many others walking around the campus today. Fraternity and sorority life is more than just an organization or a name. It's a way of changing lives.